The new you does not emerge fully formed. You feel ungrounded because you are between two worlds. This is the limbo between the known and the unknown. It is where you do your growing. Suffer it. It's in the threshold itself where the transformation takes place.
Hello guys, so I am doing a bonkers Berlin review as I move into my new office here in Mahalla, and the review kind of thing is of this little guy, which is the Sony ZV-E1. Now everything you hear in this video is going to be with the internal microphone except for a couple of shots, and also with this lovely little 11mm 1.8 APSC lens. Let's go! In moving into Mahalla, which is really an investment into my future, into the next stages of my life, I can feel something emerging out of this time. And it's always a very strange thing in life where you have the sense of an ending, something is coming to completion, and then within its heart, you find the seed of that new thing. So think about the yin yang, out of the heart, in the heart of one thing, you find the seed of another. So we have the most fantastic situation in the world. My man Richard here, and look at this perfect situation. eBay Kleinanzeiger. This is, I think, one of the very important things about trying to bring our projects to a close, because it's not just about finishing the project, it's about the sense of completion of a spiritual time in our life, or a creative time in our life. That's insane, look at that. That's so awesome. And without this sense of an ending, it's very difficult to get to actually moving on into the next phase of our lives. Beautiful Tetris sofa in. You're my hero, brother. I'm working so hard on the edit and it's asking so much of me, and yet there's this little area of dreaming where I'm starting to visualize what's going to be coming next. And it's a strange feeling because for so long I've been in this space of the isolation diaries and all the questions that came up with it. So it's kind of wonderful and strange and scary to find a new space emerging. And going into Mahalla and taking this office there and having this wonderful invitation to become a part of this amazing workspace has really triggered something in me. Also, it's a commitment to what it is that you're trying to do, and it triggers something in yourself. It's like, right, I'm serious. I don't like the feeling of this. It's putting me on the edge, but this is what I'm doing. And you're preparing for the future and you're making a firm stand for it. So I'm just reviewing a few of the AI panning shots that I did when I was moving into the studio, using the broom, the mop, just setting up, getting everything sorted out. And I've seen online that some people are sort of calling this a bit of a gimmick, and I've got to say, I think it's a fantastic little tool. You're doing something stupid or boring, like mopping, nothing wrong with mopping, but you know, it's not the most exciting thing. And suddenly you've got this little tracker coming around with you, and it just gives this little bit of motion, a little bit of vibrancy, which makes it alive, makes it exciting, makes it dynamic, makes it vibrant, and that is a really good tool. And in my opinion, it's a very strong reason to get it over some of the cameras that don't actually give you that tool. Old artist called Zane, who was in the studio before I've come in to take it over. A wonderful gentleman, I met him, and now I'm at the point where I'm just getting a little bit of the history out and getting it ready to prepare new history and whatever's going to come ahead. It's a Saturday night and there is a sense of being on the doorstep of a new future. And one of the questions for me at the moment is, are you ready? Are you willing to get all in on your life? And so when the opportunity to come here and to move into Mahalla and to be a part, I was at another crossroads that come up in these cycles and these chapters in our lives. And the question I just have to ask myself is, am I ready for something new? and I'm ready to go all in for my life and in my life, and to see where that can lead, and to be ready again to go into an adventure, into a sense of the unknown. And each chapter represents its own beginning, its own step into the unknown, and you accumulate wisdom and knowledge along the way, but at every threshold there's a new challenge and a new opportunity. So that's where I find myself at the moment, with the entry into this amazing, unknown and beautiful potential. So it's been a busy weekend. First stage of moving in and trying to design a sort of dream office here in Mahalla is over, and I'll just show you what's happening here. So over here, picked up this lovely sofa. So used eBay Kleinanzeigen, so that was for free. Also picked this up from someone's house who was moving out, so that came from home. So just lots of bits and bobs, really. So eventually there will be the musical corner over here. There'll be a small piano, I think, over here in this corner. A little chill out area for clients or for myself. There will be eventually a big boom arm light, so that the boom arm will come over the desk for shooting videos, but it will be on wheels, so I can move it over here into this corner there. The desk, so the camera will go in front of there. I have a little laptop, of course, on here, and for just getting on with work, and a little area for dumping stuff. I'm going to try and keep it quite sparse. That's my idea, is to try and keep it sort of open, and this feeling and this creative feeling in here. I expect that I'll be using this mainly for creativity. That's my idea, that this is my creative space, and then that I use my home office for actually editing and getting through stuff. So new adventure begins. Deep breath, stage 1, move in complete. Just a beginning, but it's a good first step. It's a bright day. I have a flat white and I'm ready to roll. One of the things that I went through in the pandemic and subsequently was the grief of a life that might have been. And through the process of letting go the life that you might have had, finding a way to come back to the life that you do have. And I think it's one of these things that we have to go through in life, because we experience loss in different ways. It doesn't matter whether it's heartbreak, it doesn't matter whether it's the loss of a loved one or the loss of a certain aspect of our career when there's a sudden change, like in the pandemic, and we have to reinvent. But part of the recreation is the letting go of that which might have been. And this is a very big process, and I think one of the things in the modern world is that we're so fixated on the orientation of future that we forget that life is a three-way axis between the past, the present and the future. But that axis also exists not just in terms of a future that we're gravitating towards, but sometimes in terms of a future that we might have had. So the strange thing about grief is sometimes it's about this sense of a future that might have been, and the readjustment that we have to make in ourselves is to let go that which might have been in place of that which is. So I get a real buzz, a little sense of butterflies every time I come in to Mahalla, because it just represents the next phase of life when you're doing something new, and when you know there's much before, but yeah, not quite sure what it is yet. So there it is, there's a wonderful building, still moving, stuff in to the office, step by step, day by day. Not sure if anyone's here today. Excited!
stabilisation, walking sideways. So one of my favourite qualities of the Sony ZV-E1 is this clear image zoom, which is just such a phenomenal attribute to have in a camera. I've been testing it, I had no idea how much fun it would be, but also just having this ability to pan in any situation saves you so much time in post, especially if you're just doing it to get a vibe rather than trying to create some type of wonderful shot that you're trying to take a bit more control of in a video. I love that. I want to zoom in. This is an 11mm 1.8. Oh, the light's gone. It's an absolute disaster. So I'm just setting up the fundamentals. I've got the Elgato boom arm here, DX here. So this will just live on my desk in the studio, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to be doing the podcast down here. I prefer to use the RE20, which is such a phenomenal mic, and you really do hear the difference. But this is a lovely little mic, cheap, it's about €100, so it's going to live on there. We'll see how much use it gets. So I just love the pragmatism of this arm. I also like that you can just thread your XLR directly into this. They do pop out a little bit, which you'll see in some reviews. What I love is you can just really get it out of the way here, and then you can sit down and you just want to talk some type of rubbish to the world out into the void, and it's just right there, kind of blah 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 blah. And going back to the Sony ZV-E1, so the other thing that I love is that with this zoom rocker, so this is literally, I mean, you can see it's just arm's length away. That's the 11mm. It's the first time I've sat down at the desk in the new office. This is a moment. APSC lens, it's the 11mm. So if you like hard vignette, you've got that effect, brothers and sisters. And then, but you can come right in, and you've just got all the possibilities you need for a quick setup. And the 11mm on the ZV-E1 just working so well just for that pragmatism. And I think for me it's always separating the idea when you're trying to make content or art. It's with content you want speed, you want use, you want functionality, you want a couple of tricks, and then with art you're spending more time, you're composing, you're considering, you're using whatever lens, you're getting into the composition, into the feeling, into the emotion, into the idea. Totally different thing. Don't know why I'm using that, there's no XLR in there. This is with the internal microphone still, but yeah, this camera is a lot of fun. And the reason I went with the ZV-E1 in the end was simply because what's going to give me the most fun, and it just has all these, no, I want to be vlogging more, I want to focus more on communication and this sense of just having fun. And the ZV-E1, it just has features and qualities like this AI auto tracking that I just don't have in my other cameras, and I love this clear image zoom. It's just so useful. I'm so surprised how often I use it. So since everything I've shot this video on has been just this lens and using the zoom rocker, and it's just working great. And so I'm gonna carry on with it. My goal is to start writing through a loop pedal. I've been so fascinated by the ways that it's actually affected my writing. If you imagine sort of creativity is like a river, and the river's coming down, it's like a torrent, and then at some point it starts refracting, and the thing that makes it refract and go into different directions are simply the tools it uses. And this is why I believe so much in the power of limitation, because it's like, right, take this limitation and see how it affects you. And often the problem with the modern world is everyone has all the tools all the time at their disposals, or too many options, and it just leads you to doing absolutely nothing. This is why I think that in many ways, I don't even know that song, that's why I think in many ways that all this focus on gear is such nonsense, why I've been very hesitant to do any type of gear reviews, because ultimately the limitation is the beauty. I mean, man, if I had an iPhone while growing up, I have no idea what I would have created. But I got into film using DVs, old Sony DV players, and just going out and shooting stuff. And so I always think, take the limitation, embrace it. You don't need anything except that one thing that is your portal into your mind and that connection with the world, with the universe. So anyway, when it comes to the writing,
The limitation is the loop pedal, and I want to see what effect that has on the downrush of the water, and it's going to happen over there. What is to come in the future? Songs, creativity, I hope abundance, new experiences, I hope meeting new people, sharing, getting into life. Having wobbles, having wobbles, gotta wobble! And of course, the most important thing in any studio is a glow-in-the-dark flamingo.